Hey there, amplifiers. Thanks for tuning in. Chances are you've seen a lot out there about AI. It's taking over the world, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. In fact, we're going to be talking about the missing link that drives AI success because the platform by itself has power, but with great power requires great responsibility. So, without further ado, let's get to cracking and we'll cover our big three of the day. All right. And joining me today is Mr. Manny Torres. How are you doing, Mr. Manny?
I'm doing awesome, Kenny. Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. Glad to be talking about things AI. It is taking over the world. There is a revolution going on right now, and people who aren't tuning in or aren't paying attention are missing a really big opportunity. So, we're going to be talking about frameworks, the missing link that drives success, and three things we'll be covering today is number one, AI use on the rise and give you some cool stats that are going on with that. And I'd love to hear your comments in the comments or hear them or see them. So if you have thoughts or resources or things that you could share, feel free to put them in the notes. We're going to be talking about missed opportunities, some of the missed opportunities that people are having right now. You may be utilizing it, but if you're not doing a few things, you could be missing some opportunities, or even worse, you could be causing more challenges than help. And then the importance of frameworks. If you're not sure what a framework is in regards to AI, we're going to be talking about that and having discussion. So without further ado, let's get into the conversation and talk about use on the rise. So, Manny, we were just chatting about this in a moment ago. It's been popping up for the past several years, but in the past, I guess, year plus, it's just been exploding. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, you mentioned that it's been on the rise and it's been out there for a long time. It goes all the way back to the 50s. But in terms of what we see on a day to day basis, we're starting to see that acceleration. And typically, it's been stuff that you didn't interact with in terms of being able to customize. So it was things like Siri or Alexa, where it was there, but you're not really doing a lot to change it. But now with the advent of ChatGPT and other tools like that, now people can interact and use it in new ways. So I think that's where we're starting to see that explosion of growth.
Yeah, apparently around 35% of businesses report using AI in their operations, which that's already a big fraction. China leads the pack with a whopping 58% adoption rate, while the US is trailing behind at 25% using and about 43% exploring. So come on, US people, we need to get you in there. Um, so when you're talking to people, and we work with business advisors and accountants and people of that nature, what are you hearing out there as you're chatting with people about their reception with AI and usage?
Well, I was facilitating a workshop last week, and there was a group of about 15 to 20 there, and it was a wide range. You had some people that were using it on a day to day basis. You had some that didn't use it at all, and some that were, had tried it out, but really hadn't gone very far with it. So it's a wide spectrum. You got the early adopters. You've got some that are probably scared of technology. They see it and they're a little bit intimidated, and you have others that are ready to go and ready to knock it out. So I think most businesses are probably similar, where you have a range of people with different scope of how much they're using it. But I think more and more people are starting to test it and give it a try.
Well, it shows that it's continually dominating, and I think one of the things that's a challenge is people don't know what they don't know. So it's easy to jump on to a tool that's interactive and start playing around and start doing stuff with it. But if you're not like utilizing it in an efficient manner, then you can spend a lot of time doing things, but then not quite getting the result that you're looking for, which leads us to missed opportunities with AI. So if you're using it for different parts of your business, but you're not knowing what you don't know, you could be missing some opportunities. So let's talk about that for a minute on what are some missed opportunities that you see and that other people may be experiencing as they're dipping their toes into the AI world.
Yes, I think the biggest missed opportunity is just thinking that it's complicated. In that workshop, we walked through some of the steps to get started with AI. And a lot of the attendees walked away saying, I didn't realize it would be so simple to be able to do it. And once they knew that, their guard fell down and they felt more empowered to be able to try things. And I think that's what stops a lot of people. They're fearful that they're not going to understand it, that they won't know how to use it, and they just decide that they're not going to try. But once they see that it's something that they can approach and use, I think that opens a lot of opportunities.
On the flip side, on the contrary, so I was working with a team. As you know, we Growth Amplifiers works with businesses to amplify their business, and part of that is being able to leverage technology. Now, we typically will help businesses optimize their marketing and sales efforts, and part of that is using AI. And the challenge was with this team, they were savvy enough to get in there to start using AI, but they didn't know how to really work with it to get the results that they were looking for. So, for example, let's say you can use something like Chat GPT or Gemini and you want it to write an article on a particular topic, and you tell it to write an article on a particular topic. Now, it will write something, but then it's going to do it very general and generic. Typically, if you just open up the platform and ask it to write an article on a particular topic, it's going to write it very general and generic. And that's going to be a disconnect from your audience. And also doesn't create really engaging content right out the bat. It's just information, which has some value. It gives you some information. But let's talk about really customizing that message and the importance of being able to use AI beyond the basics.
Yes, I like any other tools. I was having this discussion today with someone about going through design school, and maybe you were somewhere when you went through school where we were transitioning from doing the manual layout to desktop publishing, and those tools helped speed up the process. But the thing was, if you didn't understand the principles and frameworks behind it, you didn't take a strategic approach to it, and the results that you get showed that you were just essentially showing what the tool can do, but not what a good strategy with the tool can do. And that's where I see the big difference is if you're just asking it to output, but you're not providing a benchmark, you're not providing that framework or process, it's not going to be able to produce the type of results that you're wanting to get.
So, for example, in this case, I was talking to a business that was trying to write an article on how to help people save money with tax planning. And ChatGPT puts out their general article, but it's very vanilla. It's very informative. It doesn't tell a story. It's not speaking to an ideal customer. It's not speaking in the language of the business who's wanting to put out the article. So they were initially just wanting to use the tool and say, hey, look, this is a great article. Let's put it out there. But what happens when you put out general information that's really not speaking to anyone?
It's bland. So, as you know, there's a ton of content, there's a lot of competition for your attention. And unless you feel like something's speaking directly to you, you're just going to keep moving right past it.
So exactly like, oh, we've got a great sale on boiled chicken. We've got all the boiled chicken you can eat. Come here and get your free boiled chicken. It's like no one's really wanting boiled chicken. They want something that's going to be speaking to them. It's going to get their attention. It's going to have someone lean in, turns a look into a stare, and that requires some strategy. That requires really understanding your brand. That requires what we're talking about next is really following a framework. We started bringing up that a moment ago, but we're talking about the importance of frameworks. So I know what a framework is. We use frameworks at Growth Amplifiers to optimize someone's customer value journey, help them get more return on investment from their marketing and sales efforts. We use frameworks when we're working with our clients to help them really get clear on what they're aiming to accomplish and then setting the goals and executing those actions to achieve the results. But what are frameworks in regards to AI, and how can we start thinking about that?
So I think if we step back and we take AI out of the picture and we start to ask ourselves, what are we looking to achieve? What's our goal? And then what are the best ways to achieve that? Those are those frameworks that we're going to look for. So if we're saying that I don't have an idea and I need some help with this, then I probably need some sort of brainstorming framework. If I'm thinking about content and I'm saying I need to write a sales page, well, maybe there's a framework for a sales page that I need. So using those frameworks and benchmarks to outline the way that's been successful for people in the past that it has stood the test of time is a way that you can use those data sets to really help AI produce the types of results that you're wanting to see.
So it's like we were saying earlier, it's that good old quote from Marvel: with great power comes great responsibility. And you have great power with AI, and a lot of business advisors are using it. But if you don't know what you don't know, and you're missing a few ingredients, you don't have a framework to kind of rein things in and make sure that everything's really lined up, then it could cause more harm than help. Um, what have you seen as far as how AI can cause more harm? And kind of give an example of that a moment ago, but what have you seen as far as some challenges of using AI and some of the challenges it can pose without having a framework?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge that you'll see is that it will continually put out vanilla content, but it'll also start to repeat itself. So if you're doing a long article, you'll see that it's starting to say the same things over and over again. And if you're not reading it for those that framework and that process to ensure that it's following it, you'll miss and not identify some of those areas where it's being super repetitive. But when people start to read it, they're going to notice that, and it's going to stand out as something that's not a high quality piece. So that's one area where I start to see AI have some challenges. The other things is it has a tendency to overdo some things, whether it's in the voice that it's putting out there, whether it's emojis. We've all seen it just kind of like vomit emojis all over a social media post. So those are things that are kind of telltale signs. And it reminds me of when you used to see people create logos that were very similar to the Apple icons. And
Hmm.
it's like you're just copying. And at that point, you start to stand out, but not in the way that you want to stand out.
Yes. So there's a way that you can take the technology and hone it. And one of the things that I'm excited about with growth amplifiers is that's really some training that we've implemented and learned so that we can help businesses better utilize and customize their AI to speak towards their brand, to speak to the personas that they want to communicate to develop the right scripts and prompts so that they're getting the right results. Because if you don't do that, again, you can start creating content or putting out work or processing information that isn't quite uh, refined enough to give you the result you want. And maybe you'll see that. Maybe you'll read it and you'll see it and you'll say this isn't good enough. Or even worse, maybe you won't, but other people will. What are your thoughts in regards to um, what people need to be aware of when it comes to creating and utilizing their platform and training their team to utilize it?
I think the number one thing that I would remind people of is that it's not a replacement. Although it's going to help with speed and ultimately it should increase the quality, there's still a portion of it that needs that human review, refinement, and adjustment so that it can continue to improve. If you're just taking what it spits out, then it's probably not going to meet the needs that you want it to. But if you have part of your own framework and process to create the content that it's matching your avatar, your business, and then as part of the process, when that content is created, you have a time for you or your team to review and refine it. and then make notes so that the future iterations are always improving. I think that's where you get the real power out of it. It's that simple systematic amplification that we talk about a lot. It's the same in AI, where we want to see those improvements over time.
So that's one of the things I'm excited about. Although there is this technology, if you're in the financial space and you offer advisory to your clients, it is not replacing people in the near future. There are some things that could help remove the blocks from, but there's a guest that was on Growth Amplifiers. His name was Roland Rust, and this is the book that he shared, The Feeling Economy. He talks about how artificial intelligence is creating the era of empathy. And one of the things that he highlights is you can get information from AI, but right now, in today's technology, and probably for the relative near future, there's nothing that is replacing being able to really connect with someone on a personal basis and understand them and their emotional needs and connecting from a human perspective, right? And so whether that's leading your team and understanding what your vision is and then using technology to empower your team to achieve that, or that's working with your clients and helping them solve their challenges and helping them prioritize and really break through the things that are holding them back. Sometimes that may be, like information based. People don't know what they need to do, but sometimes it's more emotional based. Have you experienced that when it comes to helping people make progress by getting outside of their own mind?
I think the biggest thing is not to be afraid of it and just play with it. It's something that the more you use it, the more you can identify ways to use it. And for instance, in the workshop, someone asked me kind of an off the wall question: how can I use this in my role, which was a role that's not one I'm familiar with? And I simply said, well, let's just ask ChatGPT. And it was able to spit out some ideas that essentially got the brain juices flowing. And from that point, you can start to identify different avenues that relate to you. And I think that's something that we should always keep in mind. It's those extra ideas, just like a mastermind. You're getting outside perspectives. It's going to change your viewpoint. It's going to open opportunities. It's going to uncover gaps. And the more viewpoints that you have, the fuller picture that you can really develop.
Right. So using the technology, jumping in, getting your feet wet, then also making sure that if you're an advisor and you're connecting with people, it's not just the information, it's being able to read people. It's understanding their deeper motives. It's understanding the messages that aren't being communicated out front. A lot of times when I'm working with an advisor that's trying to, generate more business, one of the challenges they have is they're not sharing how they could help someone improve their business because they're afraid to push someone away. Maybe they have a client that they could actually provide more services to and help grow that account, but they don't want to seem like they're pushing their services on there. So if you get like information from AI might tell you the logical things to do to help them, hey, market your service, tell them the other products that you offer, share that information, but it may not get down to the underlying reason of what's preventing people from being able to share. And so like from an advisor, you could come in and use your understanding of people and their nature and say, what's preventing you is like, well, I don't want to push people away by being salesy. And it's like, well, then don't sell, simply share. Simply share. And that's at this time in this year, AI is not quite being able to read people and have those sort of conversations. Probably in our lifetime, it will, but for the immediate, well, I don't think we're looking for Terminator. So I'm curious to know, if you're tuning in, what are things that you're seeing that you want to learn more of and how you can apply it in your world? I think this is an under-tapped opportunity. We're so used to doing the same things that we've always done. and we miss a lot of opportunity that's happening. But there is a revolution happening right now. And if we're not seizing it, then we're missing the boat. So let's look at the jobs to be done. Let's figure out the ones we can put into action. Let's prioritize them and use systematic amplification to optimize them for the best possible outcome. Manny, any closing thoughts you'd like to share with people as you're tuned in?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, get out there and play around with it, try it, get your team to use it, because it's not going away. And the sooner that you start to embrace it, the better you're going to be. And if you need help or guidance, look for an advisor. That's where you can help get those perspectives. You can gain the knowledge and expertise that someone else has, and you don't have to start from scratch. They can help you jumpstart.
Excellent. Speaking of which, Growth Amplifiers has a team of certified advisors. And whether it's for your business or you're working with a client and you think they could leverage AI and you want to partner up, we're looking to connect with other business advisors to help them provide more value to those they serve. So ask about a partner program. Until next time, keep on amplifying.